Hello and welcome back to the channel. I've been busy. I stood in the Scottish elections because I live in Scotland and didn't do very well. Man born in England, ex-police officer standing in Scotland. Instagram actually took down the comments that I was getting because it was racially abusive. Certain members of the Scottish society do not like the English, and they hate English ex-police even more. I thought it was funny. Get water off a duck's back, and some of these people had the IQ of a flea, but Instagram just felt it was too much, I suppose. Anyway, didn't do very well, so we go on. My parents being of Scottish descent, my grandparents being Scottish, moving down to England to work on the docks made no difference, and it got me thinking about a few things. I need to say something honestly. I don't get involved with all this. I've only got a little channel anyway. I don't get involved with all this civic nationalism, ethno-nationalism, tribal warfare, if you like. People know where I stand. I honestly don't care if people disagree with me. I'll always discuss, as long as they don't get abusive. I'll always have a civil discussion about anything with anyone. But I think those that watch my channel know where I stand. And I watched a Paul Thorpe interview with Ben Habib the other evening, and it made me feel sad. It made me feel really sad about where we are. And we are here because of the left. Let's not make any bones about it. We've ignored the growing Islamification of Britain, and we're nearly at the juncture where we won't be able to do anything about it. So we need to do something now. But what I saw the other night with Ben Habib talking to Paul Thorpe left me with a bad taste in my mouth. So I thought I've got to get it off my chest. Basically, Ben Habib said that if Britain was saved, but it meant him being deported himself, he would take it on the chin and be deported. And I have to admit that genuinely upset me. Not because I doubt his sincerity, not because I doubt his patriotism, I definitely don't doubt that, but I don't think a man like Ben Habib should ever feel the need to say that the country he's contributed to and helped build over the last, 40 years, would be prepared to leave if necessary. I was overwhelmed with the sentiment of that. And this forced me to confront something I didn't want to believe. Years ago, not too many years ago, I was involved heavily with a lovely little party, centre-right party, the Alliance for Democracy and Freedom. Only reason I left was because we had no budget, no money, and as a film director once said to me, Hollywood film director Malcolm Mowbray's dead now, bless him, he said, "Glenn, you could make the best film in the world, but if no one knows about it, no one's going to see it." That's why these big film companies, your Warner Brothers, United Artists, they spend half the budget of a film on advertising. And so there I was. That's the only reason I left them anyway. Lovely party for me. Anti-lockdown. Tech Kong was very concerned about the vaccinations and definitely against mandatory vaccinations. And I just like the ethos. Anti-immigration or anti-large-scale immigration, obviously allowing people in who we need and who are qualified. Any criminal entering the country, just imprisoned straight away. No iPhones, no hotels, none of that, just bread and water and a roof over the head, what we need to supply under the Geneva Convention. Because at the end of the day, they're criminals escaping from France, essentially. And I know France is lousy if you go there. I think it is anyway. I've had some terrible experiences with the French, but it's not that bad. So, I was with the Alliance for Democracy and Freedom, and Teck Kong, who was the leader, Dr.Teck, Lovely guy. He came from Malaysia as a child. Spent 40 years here as a GP, as a police surgeon, and really put lots back into his local community. Lovely, lovely man. And he led the party, but he said to me once, he said, I don't think I should be leading the party because I'm Malayan. I don't think I'll ever be accepted by everyone as part of British society. And now I'd never come across a man more patriotic. There was St George. I know he was Turkish of all teeth. There's St George, and then there was Dr.Teck. And then there was probably Ben Habib just after him. He was a lovely guy. He was patriotic. He loved Britain. He was anti-illegal immigration. He was pro reorganising the NHS without spending millions and millions and millions. And basically, he just loved the country. He worked here. He contributed here. Built a life here. But as I say, he said to me, he would never be accepted by some. And I just dismissed it. I said, oh, you're mad. I said, anyone can see that you're a British patriot. And to be honest, anyone that don't accept you, they can spin on it, basically. And I just thought he was crazy. You know, I suppose if you are an outsider, you weren't born in the UK, you possibly would feel like that. But after that sort of level of contribution into society, I just couldn't see it. He said, no matter how patriotic I am, no matter what I'll do, I won't be seen as British. And I remember laughing at him and saying, oh, don't be daft, it's 2026, no one thinks like that anymore. And when I said it, I genuinely believed it. I know they're a genuine far right who wouldn't accept anyone. They'd probably even deport themselves because of their Irish ancestry or their Scottish ancestry or woe-betide European ancestry. But on the whole, most people would be accepting of someone like that, I would have thought. Because you see, I've always believed patriotism should be based on values, loyalty, contribution into the country, and shared culture, assimilating into the culture of the country that you've moved to, but not race. I've never considered that to be a contributing factor to whether you're British or not. You've come here legally, you've bought in, you've contributed, and you like our values, you like our way of life, you've bought into it. To me, when you've got a track record like that, you're British. To me, and I know there's people out there who disagree, and there's no need to abuse. I respect your opinion. I certainly don't agree with it, but there we go. I didn't think it was race because I thought we'd genuinely, as a society, moved beyond that. Now, I'm not so sure. I joined Advance UK from the Alliance for Democracy and Freedom because I believed it represented exactly the kind of patriotism that represented me. Which you would do, wouldn't it? You look for the party that represents you, that you agree with the most. You're never going to agree with everything, but they seem to stand for what I stand for. I spoke with Ben Habib on Zoom when I was with the Alliance for Democracy and Freedom. Very impressed with him. I attended the London policy launch of Advance UK. The vibe in the room was electric. We'd got nearly 40,000 members at that time. Membership was going up, momentum was with them, and I was really quite excited. At last, the centre right at a place where everyone could meet, or so I thought. People from different backgrounds, different races, different sexualities, all in that room, but united in the belief that Britain and the British way of life and British culture actually matters and is worth fighting for. Not hatred, not racial politics, not extremism, just people who believed that borders matter, free speech matters, freedom of expression matters, Sovereignty matters, community matters. Investigating Pakistani Muslim rape gangs matter. Investigating white elite rape paedophile rings matters. And above all, that Britain should put its own citizens first. That didn't seem racist to me. That seemed sane. And I agreed with their policies. I still do. I want illegal immigration stopped. I want mass immigration stopped. Only people that we actually need. Because too many people have come in too quickly to assimilate in society. And I think that's just as unfair on the people coming in as it is on those communities being asked to accept a deluge of people with different values, different languages and different needs. I want Muslim hate speeches kicked out of the country. I want Britain to be manufacturing things again instead of selling houses to each other and pretending that and the odd call centre is an economy. I want publicly accountable services. I want people who've worked hard for 30, 40, 50 years, paid into that system, to be able to retire with dignity, preferably at 60 while they've still got a bit of life left. The way this Labour government's going, it'll be 75. They're spending money on all sorts of things they shouldn't be spending on, and they're not looking after people that have put into the system. It's criminal. It's corrupt. I want that to change. And I believe that Ben Habib and Advance UK were the people to do it. I want equal opportunity for all, not DEI systems that patronise minorities while breeding resentment in everybody else. I want small government. I've said I want freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom to offend. I wouldn't set fire to a Quran, but if I felt like it, I should be able to, without fear of being arrested. I might want to do it as a piece of art. Do it and photograph it. I should be allowed. We're in a democracy. I wouldn't do it, but we should be allowed. I want Britain to stay out of foreign wars unless they're directly threatened. Half the refugee problem in the world is down to wars that the West have directly contributed in. Regime changes for oil and whatever else. I don't see any of that as extremist. And millions of ordinary people quietly agree with most of it. The amount of people I've had come up to me in sort of entertainment industries and said, I totally agree with that, but I couldn't say it. Isn't that terrible? You're worried about being cancelled, blacklisted, because you've got a different view to other people of society. I think that's awful. What a road we've started to go down. But here's where I draw the line. I don't want a movement where people like Ben Habib and Dr.Teck are treated as someone less British because of skin colour or place of birth. I personally won't accept that in my moral code. Again, just my opinion. Because if a man contributes to the country for decades, believes in the values of the country, works hard, obeys the law, and genuinely loves Britain, then what exactly are we saying Britain is if he still doesn't belong? What are we even bothering to defend at that point? And this is where I became uneasy. Because when Restore Britain formed and there was a little spat between Restore Britain and Advance UK, I started to see some genuinely disgusting racial abuse aimed at Ben Habib online. Now, like my Scottish friends who hate the English, most had the IQ of a flea, but when it's a barrage, that's got to hurt. Mind you, it didn't hurt me. But it's got to. You put your neck on the line, your head above the parapet, and you're getting absolutely pelted because of your skin colour. For me, that's so wrong. It wasn't criticism, not disagreement, but racial abuse. And suddenly I remember my conversation with Dr.Teck back at the ADF, and I realised maybe he understood something about human nature that I didn't. Now look, I know people are angry. I know the country feels broken. Mass immigration has been too high for too long. Communities have changed rapidly. I know for a fact I've spoken to girls, particularly at seaside resorts, who don't go out at night anymore because they don't feel safe. Yes, the old argument, yeah, white men commit sexual crime as well. Yes, they do, but proportionately, nowhere near as much. It's a different mindset. And I always think to myself, haven't we got enough of our own sexual predators without importing more? What do you bring to our society? Oh, rape. Yeah, in you come. That argument, we've got white sexual predators. Anyway, I digress. Trust in the institutions has collapsed, and these are legitimate concerns of people. But if patriotism turns into ethnic hostility, then we've lost the plot completely. Britain's not supposed to be a blood tribe. Britain at its best was always a covenant. Shared laws, shared freedom, shared responsibilities, shared identity. That identity absolutely, for me, requires integration, loyalty and common culture. But it can't become racial essentialism, because once that door opens, the country starts eating itself alive. And that is why I think people like Ben Habib matter, not despite their background, but because they've proven that patriotism is bigger than race. The British identity can still be civic, can still be cultural, can still unite people from all different origins under the same national identity, believing in the same values and having the same aspirations. And those not buying into that, of course, there's the door. Close it on your way out. I think those values, those proven values by someone like Ben Habib and Dr.Teck, I think they matter enormously. Which brings me to Rupert Lowe and the wider movement. I genuinely hope he makes it crystal clear that racial abuse and ethnic hostility to all people who have legally contributed to Britain for decades will not be tolerated. Because if a movement can't distinguish between opposing illegal immigration and opposing mass immigration and attacking loyal British citizens because of their ancestry, then eventually that movement will poison itself. And I won't be part of it. I don't want to be part of it. I'll probably be dead anyway, but I don't want to be part of something like that. And I would guess the way they've been brought up, neither would my kids. In just the same way they don't want to be brought up in an Islamic caliphate. So that's where I stand now. I still believe Britain needs borders, needs confidence, needs sovereignty, needs reform like you wouldn't believe. And that's not Reform UK, who I don't believe would do anything. But I also believe that patriotism, and I'm very proud to be what I consider a patriot. I believe that patriotism without decency becomes ugliness, same as anything does. And a Britain that tells loyal contributors you'll never really belong is not the Britain that I want to save. So to Ben Habib, I'd simply say this: don't apologise for loving your country, and don't ever think people who've contributed to Britain for decades should need to quietly accept that they're seen as disposable. That's not right. Advance UK are still the party that I believe represent the working class the best. And although Restore Britain has now become a political party from a political movement, and I believe that Rupert Lowe had originally said to Ben Habib, start Advance UK up, although that's now a political movement, and I don't know why, because that seems to split the vote again, I'm quite happy to stay at Advance UK. And although we're going through a rough time, I think to myself, it reminds me of the Fabio Wardley, Daniel Dubois fight. While you're on your feet and you're still swinging, who knows what can happen. Now, if Ben decides, along with the hierarchy of Advance, to pack in, then I'm sure I'll join Restore and give them my full support, with the reservations that I've just stated. But I hope he doesn't. And as I say, personal message to Ben Habib, Fabio Wardley. I'm sure many of you disagree with me. I respect your views. You can abuse if you want, because it's... But that's the way I feel. I was brought up in a multicultural area, Battersea in London. I've had black friends, Indian friends, not many Muslim friends to be honest, because they didn't really want to, as we know, socialise. We were outcast to them in our own country. And then when I joined the police, I saw for myself two-tier policing, and I wondered what was happening, why we were putting up with some of these religious quirks in a doctrine that I didn't particularly like and I don't like now. But we don't do it, in my view, by attacking those that have put so much into the country and love the country just as much, if not more, than those who were born here. Thanks for watching. Let me know your thoughts, and I'll speak to you soon. Oh, please subscribe to the channel and like the video. Speak soon. Bye for now.
The ballot, what did I see? The same old suit staring back at me. They say we'll reform with a straight face, but it's just a circus in a different place. Reform our dancing to a hedge fund tune, singing lullabies to the conservative moon. Meanwhile, the left's busy protecting kids, while committees debate what nobody did. I don't need slogans wrapped in gold, I just want my Britain brave and bold. Why not join the fight? Advance UK's door is open tonight. I'll cheer restore, I'll cheer advance too, cause Britain needs something true. If Ben Habib calls the shots, I'll follow the line and finally see hope that's truly mine. Online safety for the children, they declare, while real problems float in the air. They vote, they filibuster, they posture and preen, but freedom drifts away unseen. I'll stay in line, cause finally I see hope that's truly mine. Red, blue, green, it's all the same. Different logos, but the rules remain. They shuffle papers, spin the news. We get the blame for what we choose. Politicians love to shout reform, while dodging storms they themselves perform. I'll stand outside their velvet rope with satire, sarcasm, and stubborn hope. Rough, proud, alive, where courage, not committees, helps us survive. No puppet masters, no magic men, just honest voices for the people again. Rupert, Ben, I'm cheering.